Hello, fellow dirt men. Hello, fellow dirt men. What is good, Professor Dirt? Hi, how are ya? Hi, how are ya? Hi, how are ya? I keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man, in case he comes to town. I keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man, so he won't bring me down to his lair deep under the mountain underground. That's where he keeps his dirt. Hi, how are you? I'm Chris Valenti, your perfect and humble leader. And today we're going to be doing some research on the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 in order to put together a comprehensive breakdown and rabbit hole, doing a deep dive into the rabbit hole of, Japanese internment and Italian and German internment and its use during World War I and World War II, and how we got to today with Donald Trump capable of deploying the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 despite us not being in an active war. I mean, that's something. Before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing. It helps me immensely. And if you do want to help the channel financially, you could buy some dope-ass merch down below. You can also get a 40% off discount for the Vantage subscription on Ground News, and you could become a member for $5, which will give you early access to my videos, and it'll give you access to a members-only playlist. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's use ChatGPT to get a comprehensive breakdown, and we'll get some links, too. Give me the links. Give me the links. Give me the links. Hi, everybody. Dude, what the fuck? I didn't even know this. Look at this. Apparently there's a thing called the Alien Friends Act, too, which is fucking hilarious. Do I gotta zoom out? There we go. The Naturalization Act of 1798 increased the requirements to seek citizenship. The Alien Friends Act of 1798, like Donald, why not deploy the Alien Friends Act, Why not be a good guy? The Alien Friends Act of 1798 allowed the president to imprison and deport non-citizens. Never mind, not a fan. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 gave the president additional powers to detain non-citizens during times of war, invasion, or predatory incursion. If you're curious as per why Trump and the GOP have been calling it a invasion from the southern border for like 4 years, this is why. You get enough people to believe that it is an invasion, and you can give the president powers of wartime powers, which is exactly what they did. Comment on the F-47? Maybe I will later, but I don't know too much about the F-47. Maybe I will later, my guy. Alright, so I'm going to give you the ChatGPT overview here. This is the type of shit that I love ChatGPT for. The Alien Enemies Act is a law that was first passed in the United States in 1798 as part of the Alien and Sedition Acts. Here's a breakdown of its use and key historical moments since its inception. The Alien and Sedition Acts were passed during a period of rising tensions between the United States and France, known as the Quasi-War. Federalists, led by President John Adams, sought to strengthen the nation's defense against foreign influence, especially from France, which was at war with Britain and had a presence in the Americas. Chris, I gotta piss. Can you pause the stream for me? Not how it's gonna work. Not how it's gonna work. I'm sorry. The Alien Enemies Act specifically gave the president the authority to detain and deport any male citizens of a hostile... I didn't even know that it went to males. That's so fucking stupid. What, you don't think a woman could be a spy? That's what, like, this is an example of sexism, like, fucking with national security. Like, if I'm a foreign agent and I know this law, I'm going, dude, send women. They're not even going to detain the women, you know? Deport any... Jack, you cool it. You cool it, you sick fuck. To detain and deport any male citizens of a hostile foreign nation during wartime. The idea was to protect the country from potential espionage or sabotage. The act was relatively narrow in its scope, applying only to citizens of nations which the U.S. was at war. It was a part of a broader legislative effort to curtail the influence of foreign nationals and to prevent internal threats. Early use, 1798 to the 1800s. After its passage, the Alien Enemies Act was rarely invoked. Its most prominent use during the 1790s was the threat of deportation, as the United States had no direct military confrontation with the French. After the end of the Quasi-War, the law was largely dormant. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys. That'll do. 1800s, the act was not frequently used or enforced, but remained in the legal framework as a tool for national security during wartime. How do I become a member? There should be a join button somewhere on your screen. It should say join. The law is the law. The thing about laws, brother, is that simply because something is legal does not make it moral. And my favorite example is slavery. For 400 years, slavery was legal. It was actually illegal to free a slave. So my question to you is this, Sterlo. Would you be a bad person for breaking the law and freeing a slave in the 1800s? Yes or no? Oh, we got Diamond back. Welcome back. We got Hate Watchers real early. Diamond has made a second appearance. Welcome back. Welcome back. First of all, don't talk to me like I'm dumb. I'm not talking to you like you're dumb. That is just you being self-conscious. But will you answer the question? Would it be immoral to violate the law and free a slave? Would it be bad? Because yes, it would be illegal during the 1800s, but would that make it immoral? I don't understand why you won't answer the question, Diamond. Same thing with you, Sterlo. It's a pretty simple question. You would. So you would violate the law and free a slave. Of course you would. That's the right thing to do, right? Second, Democrats are the slave drivers and the slaves being freed from saving them from being held hostage. No comparison. I don't understand why you won't answer the question. Like, you are right. Yes, the Democrat Party was the ones who fought for slavery. Democrat politicians were very prominent in the South during the 1860s. And then over the course of about 100 years, the values of the parties began to swap. That's why you've got Republicans in power in red states and Democrats in power in blue states, which is the entire opposite of what things were like during the Civil War. But again, the point that I'm trying to make is that simply because something is the law does not make it the right thing to do, right? And like I just said, my example is slavery. For 400 years, it was illegal to free a slave. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't. People still freed slaves, and they were the good people, even though, according to the law, they were violating the law. Yep, that's why it's called the party switch. Took a century. During the American Civil War, the Alien Enemies Act was brought back into play. President Abraham Lincoln used it to justify the detention of individuals considered disloyal or suspicious, especially those with ties to the Confederacy. Confederate sympathizers. The law was used to arrest, detain, or expel suspected Confederate sympathizers who were foreign nationals or had foreign ties. Although it was applied to a broader group, including civilians with suspicious allegiances, the law primarily focused on individuals from hostile nations. The law allowed the government to manage individuals perceived as potential threats and maintain public order during a time of national crisis. Very interesting. Your party supported slavery, by the way. Democrats are the real racists. You are correct. Yes, the Democrat Party was the party that fought for slavery in the South. Southern regions supported slavery, and Democrat politicians were the ones in power. However, as you are aware, currently, Democrats are primarily run in blue cities, in coastal cities, in urban cities, right? And Republican politicians are more popular in red states, right? This is because of Richard Nixon's The Southern strategy, where they targeted disenfranchised Democrat voters. There was a period where Southern Democrats started to go by the term Dixiecrats because they still believed in the old ways of Dixieland, Jim Crow era. However, historically, they had always been Democrats. Until the Civil Rights Act of 1965, there were a lot of people who voted Democrat historically, but felt abandoned by the Democrat Party, right? But after the, the Civil Rights Act and the Obergefell v. Hodges, after all of these final nails in the coffin, the Democrats in the South jumped ship and they joined the Republican Party under Richard Nixon. The entire country is red except big blue cities, mainly close to downtown. So you're probably confusing land with people. If you looked at like a map of North Dakota or some shit, and you painted it red because of it being a Republican state, yes, that's a giant piece of land. But land does not vote. People vote, right? And if you look at the comparison, it's a pretty even split. It's not like the nation is 80% Republican voters and 20% Democrat voters. In fact, the overwhelming majority of this nation simply does not vote. That's just an indisputable fact. Most Americans don't vote in the presidential election. I don't understand why you're so upset, Sterlo. This is just a pretty civil conversation. You don't need to get so triggered. So you think Republicans are racist? I'm not racist. No, I don't think Republicans are racist. I think that racists are racists, and I call out racist policies when I see them. Sterlo said, I never get upset. That's funny. Only poor people cry about politics? Holy shit, Dimitri. Are you a billionaire? Do we got a billionaire in the chat?
I love you, Mr. Billionaire. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I'm just calling out BS. I don't know what BS I said. I've only been live for 13 minutes, and we've really just been, covering history. Bill Clinton had racist policies? Yes, he did. During World War I, the Alien Enemies Act saw significant use again. As the U.S. declared war on Germany, it was used to control and limit the activities of German nationals who were considered a potential threat due to the wartime context. Espionage and sabotage concerns. Authorities were worried about espionage, sabotage, and support for Germany. German nationals were subject to surveillance, detention, and deportation under the Alien Enemies Act. Espionage Act of 1917. This act, passed in the same year as the United States' entry into the war, expanded the government's ability to punish individuals suspected of aiding the enemy. This act was sometimes used in conjunction with the Alien Enemies Act to manage perceived security threats. Very interesting, very interesting. Now, see, what I can say is that most of the use that we've read so far of the Alien Enemies Act has logic behind it, considering we were in times of active war, right? So, I mean, you've got the its early use was rarely invoked. Give me its original use, right? During the quasi-war, and then during the Civil War, that definitely makes the most sense. World War I, because of German spies. Now, World War II, this is when things start to get iffy, because we ended up using this to intern something like 30,000 Japanese people in the United States. Fucking abhorrent. I can't believe my cat still hasn't killed that goddamn fruit fly. There's been a fruit fly flying around for the past, day. And my cat's been hunting it, but he still can't get him. Dems want to keep illegal aliens here to exploit them. Dems don't care about them. They're just hiding under empathy. So what you're talking about, I don't think has anything to do with Democrat politics. What you're talking about are corporations using undocumented immigrants as wage slavery, right? Because these people can't complain to government institutions without risking themselves being deported. You can pay undocumented immigrants fucking pennies on the dollar. Is that what you're talking about? Yes or no, Diamond? Is that indeed what you are talking about? Thank you for the $5. Here's my dirt fare. Until I figure out membership, I can't figure out the message. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, Spolowski. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I also agree. That is fucking terrible. But that is not Democrat politicians. Those are greedy CEOs. The people who do that are Tyson, Purdue, Minute Maid, the companies that are they got these people in picking oranges in fields and maintaining ranches with chickens. This has nothing to do with them. A lot of this is in red states, in farmland. You do understand that, right? Dems are trying to keep them here, which is helping those bad corporations. So here's the thing. I'm a Democrat, right, because I have to register for a party, but I don't stand with Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and all that. Those are liberals. I'm a democratic socialist. But I want undocumented immigrants to have a pathway to citizenship. I want them to have a way to become a citizen and then become a taxpayer, and then have children, and then their children are taxpayers, because that's how you boost the economy. That's how you boost the population. You know, multiculturalism. You bring more and more people in here. And we already have pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, joining the military or marrying a U.S. citizen or getting a government job. They already exist. Now, what I would say to probably come to the table with you is that if somebody's here for years and years and years and they never use one of those pathways to citizenship, then I do think it would be appropriate to deport them. But that doesn't mean that the children of people who are undocumented should be rounded up and deported, you know? I just don't want them to be exploited for basically being a slave wage. Yeah, so I don't want them to be exploited either, but that doesn't mean that I want them to be kicked out of the nation. I want them to have a way to become a citizen, and then they can't be exploited. I also don't think that you should be allowed to practice wage slavery with undocumented immigrants. I think that's fucking abhorrent. But I don't think the solution to that is deporting them. Thank you for the $1. IDK, a good name. I appreciate that. Hello again, Amber. I have to disagree. I wanted to increase the population. We already have 10 million people on the planet. We don't need more. I don't give a shit about increasing the population. I'm just talking about if you want your nation's GDP to grow, then you want more people who are innovative. You want more people who are in the workforce. At the end of the day, an undocumented immigrant who becomes a citizen becomes a taxpayer. That's more money. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? What's your big solution? It's exactly what I said. It's increasing pathways to citizenship and also using our tax dollars to expedite the speed in which it takes to legally migrate here. I'm not sure if you're aware, but on average, it takes 6 years to seek asylum for the southern border. Some people get it in 24 hours because they're fucking rich, and some people have to wait 10 years, but the average amount of time is 6 years. I believe that if you want to limit the amount of people, for example, say I'm an undocumented immigrant, I show up, I file for asylum, they say, you're gonna have to wait 6 years. And then there's a guy over there, he goes, hey bro, for $15,000, I could smuggle you over the border tomorrow. Well, if you want to fuck with that business, if you want to crush that business, you expedite the legal migration process, because then it's well, instead of having to wait 6 years, I have to wait 6 months, right? And then I don't have to go in there illegally and I get all the benefits of being a legal citizen. I think that is a genuine good way to decrease the amount of, because think about it, nobody wants to come here illegally. You get no benefits. You can't use any of our welfare programs. You're constantly hiding from the government. That's not a good life to live, you know? I just think that's the way you do it. That is definitely the way you do it. And that's for the people who aren't here yet, right? When it comes to the people who are already here illegally, I don't think you make them live under fear of being rounded up and deported. What I do think you do is you give them a deadline, right? Let's say, hypothetically, let's say it's New Year's of 2026, right? January 1st. All undocumented immigrants, this is a hypothetical, all undocumented immigrants within the United States have until New Year's, January 1st of 2026 to file for citizenship through these 5 legal pathways, whether it be you can join the military, you can get a government job, you can just file the formal paperwork and prove that you have no criminal record, right? You can marry a citizen, all these different ways. And then those 20 million fucking people will become taxpayers, right? I still think Trump is fixing our nation, but I agree that does seem better, but I'll look into it. Well, I would challenge you to please explain one way in which Trump is quote-unquote fixing the nation, because I don't understand what even fixing the nation means. Because I would argue that every single policy he has enacted, it only benefits the 1%. I can't think of a single Trump policy that benefits you, the working man. However, Diamond, if you could retort and give me one, I'll look it up and we will decide together as a chat whether or not this actually does help the working man or whether this helps the 1%. No tax on tips. Diamond, he hasn't gone through with no tax on tips. This motherfucker signed hundreds of executive orders, things that were unconstitutional, like banning birthright citizenship, and it was shut down by the federal courts, right? So we know he's willing to sign executive orders on things that he can't even do, and yet he hasn't signed an executive order for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no income tax. He hasn't even done what you're claiming he's done. So, like, you need to give me an example of something he's actually done that benefits the working class, not something he has said he will do, because he hasn't done it. It doesn't count. The one thing that you came up with is something that he hasn't even done. Also, making NATO increase their spending so our tax dollars aren't going to Europe. Diamond, your tax dollars are still going to Europe. Whether NATO spends more doesn't affect you. Yes, NATO is spending, like, European nations are spending more money on NATO. You're not spending less. You're still being taxed the same rate because the money goes to the government and the government allocates that money to NATO. They're not lowering your tax rates. That's not what happens. You still pay the same amount of money. They just decide to keep it rather than send it over to NATO. So again, that doesn't count either. What would Kamala have done? I don't fucking know. What do you want me to do? Pull out a fucking alternate dimension? Why? Is that your defense? How about we talk about the guy who's actually the fucking president instead of thinking about a delusional fucking fantasy world? Are you fucking serious? Who gives a shit? Yeah, and what if Hitler died in World War I? Who cares? He didn't. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. You wanted me to vote for her? Yes. Because Donald Trump, because everything I said about Donald Trump was right. Everything he's doing is what I predicted. Okay? I want you to imagine in this delusional reality that Kamala Harris won the election, right? Kamala Harris and Tim Walz instead of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And then let's think of a rich billionaire that is not on the right wing. What if Kamala Harris made an executive position specifically for George Soros? And then George Soros created a fucking government institution called Doge and began defunding Social Security and Medicaid and SNAP benefits. Are you going to pretend that you wouldn't be screaming bloody murder that George Soros is infiltrating our democracy? Or are you gonna pretend that you wouldn't? Spalewski just became a loyalist. Thank you, Spalewski. I appreciate you. Let's get some W. Spalewski in the chat. Some W. Spalewskis in the chat, folks. No, Elon's not doing that. Okay, so you're just an idiot. Everything I said is what Elon did. Elon has gotten special executive power from the president. He created an institution called Doge, and it began defunding Social Security, Medicaid, and SNAP. That is facts. Facts do not care about your feelings. I could pull up the receipts. This is verifiable truth. If you can't accept verifiable truth, there is no point in me having a conversation with you. I'll simply just permaban you because there's no there's no way to reach you. If you can't accept verifiable truth, I cannot help you. I can't help you. I'm just trying to learn. Okay, then be willing to learn. I'm telling you verifiable truth. Do you need me to pull up the goddamn links? Trump administration and Elon Musk's Doge closing Social Security offices. There's one. Doge targeting Medicaid and SNAP benefits. SNAP are what provides fucking millions of Americans with their food. Doge plans to cut VA contracts, may harm veterans' care. 80,000 people in the VA are going to lose their jobs. So, look, I'm showing you verifiable truth. If you cannot accept the reality that you live in, I'm permabanning you. Because I don't want to deal with fantasy land people, with people who live in fucking Middle Earth. Because I live on Earth. W.O., thank you, O, for becoming a loyalist. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Trump never said that on the campaign trail. It's not my fault. I don't like Elon. That's what I'm saying, Diamond. This is the point I've been trying to make with all of my videos. Donald Trump on the campaign trail is not the same person as President Donald Trump. He said all of these things that sounded great. We're going to put no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no income tax. We're going to lower the price of eggs. We're going to lower gas. I'm going to end that war in day one. We're going to end that war in 24 hours. That war would have never started under me. He said everything he needed to say to get you to vote for him. And now that he's the fucking president, he's doing none of it. None of it whatsoever. In fact, he's saying, we're going to send U.S. troops to conquer Greenland. We're going to take over Gaza. We're going to take over the Panama Canal. We're renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. We're starting a trade war with Canada. We're going to invade Mexico. What the fuck? How can you still support this? How? How the fuck can you still support this? What does he need to do to get you to get the fuck out of the cult? Anything he'll do, you will support it. It's fucking crazy. And you are among tens of millions of brainwashed Americans who have forsaken the Constitution for a fucking billionaire. You think a billionaire's gonna save you? It's insane. It's insane. I don't know, man, but he's the president, so we can only hope to do the best, and maybe he will do something. No! His record has proven that he's not gonna do the best. He's crashing the fucking economy, and he's handing over power to oligarchs like Elon Musk, who has gotten $35 billion of tax credit.
He's not going to do the best. So, no, we don't hope he does the best. We actively fight to dismantle his allocation of power. He's consolidating power by dismantling government institutions. You don't sit on your fucking thumb and hope he changes course. You advocate for people who are willing to stand against him, like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Adam Kinzinger and fucking actual politicians who know that this guy is a threat to democracy.
I think I'm going to convert because you guys call me dumb and fascist and lie about me and call me a Christian nationalist. Okay, let's do this in reverse. You said yourself yesterday, I have it in black and white in text, that you are a Christian nationalist. Then, once you found out what Christian nationalists were, you stopped being a Christian nationalist. I've never called you fascist. I have called Donald Trump fascist. I do call you dumb because you are. That can change if you stop living in a fucking fantasy world. And no, I never expect you to convert. You're in a cult! You can't convert cult members. You are part of the 30% of this nation that is impenetrable. The rest of you, the people who are here, the people who are on the fringe, they can be swung back to the OAL, the only Americans left. You motherfuckers have forsaken everything. You're willing to amend the 22nd Amendment so Trump can have a third term. You're in a cult. Diamond, here's a test. Can you say one critique of Donald Trump? Can you criticize anything he has ever done? Lied about tax on tips. There we go. I dig it. You're not too far gone then. Let's keep reading. During World War II, the Alien Enemies Act was applied to citizens of Axis power, especially Germany, Italy, and Japan, as the U.S. declared war against these nations, internment and detention. But he's a strong leader. He's the weakest fucking leader we've ever had. He literally is letting Vladimir Putin steamroll over our ceasefire operation because he has no balls. He's also letting Bibi Netanyahu continue the genocide in Gaza and expand it even further into the West Bank because he's afraid of AIPAC. He is not a strong leader whatsoever. He's such a fucking pussy that he banned the Associated Press from the White House because they refused to call it the Gulf of America. Is that strength in your eyes? I'm curious. Is that strength in your eyes? Saying, you're not allowed into the White House, not until you call it the Gulf of America. Is that strength? Is that strength? Comforted to our laws? I don't even know what the fuck that means. Yeah, it's a weakness. It's somebody who is a petulant man-child. It's an executive order they have to obey. Holy fucking shit. The Associated Press is a worldwide news organization. It's not an American organization. Most nations on planet Earth still call it the Gulf of Mexico.
The Associated Press has clients across the entire fucking planet. So when they say Gulf of America, most of their clients don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Are you fucking serious? Let me ask you something also. If Donald Trump signed an executive order that said all black people must be enslaved, will you stand by that because it's an executive order and now it's the law? Will you stand by that simply because it's an executive order? I'm curious. This dude just wants to be mad? No, I do not want to be mad, but I am mad. And exude superiority. I already do that. I don't have to fucking try to do that. A name change and enslaving a race is very different. That's not the point. The only reason why you supported that, you just said they have to. It's an executive order. So, if Donald Trump signed an executive order saying you must enslave all black people, would that be okay? Or do you have a double standard? I'm frankly certain you have a double standard. How you doing, Puffin? Your default is belittling, know-it-all tone, and that makes grand assumptions from specific statements. Yes. It's easy to belittle dumbass MAGAs. And I do make grand assumptions because you guys are so fucking predictable. He can't order that. They need the whole government. Okay, so you understand that an executive order is not a fucking mandate from God? So then why do you have a problem with the Associated Press, a foreign news organization, calling it the Gulf of Mexico when the rest of the planet still calls it the Gulf of Mexico? Jack Donovan, cut it out. Rats. Who cares, bro? People are dying in Ukraine. You're worried about a name. No, I'm just showing that you have a logical fallacy. Like, your belief system is literally built upon nothing. As soon as something challenges your belief system, you sway. You change entirely. Yes, and you're right. People are dying in Ukraine because Donald Trump is a fucking coward and he's allowing Putin to further expand. You're right. Yes. Anyway. Let's get back to learning. Internment and detention. The United States government used the Alien Enemies Act to justify the internment of people from these countries, especially those of Japanese descent. While the internment of Japanese Americans is most famous, Italian and German nationals also faced restrictions, although their treatment was often less severe. The act allowed the government to detain or deport enemy aliens and sometimes used internment camps to hold them, though most of those detained were not formally charged with espionage or sabotage. You cast judgment on a fundamentally baseless and superficial set of criteria. Got it, LMAO. You're so right. Get the fuck out of here. I don't really know what you mean. I'm sorry. Post-World War II and Cold War. After World War II, the Alien Enemies Act remained in place, but was rarely invoked, except in specific wartime contexts. It was largely dormant during the Cold War, although its provisions were never formally repealed. Excuse me. Cold War tensions.
The U.S. government maintained the act as part of its broader framework for handling perceived communist threats. However, the act itself wasn't used as heavily, as the government focused more on other tools, like the McCarthy hearings, for dealing with suspected communist sympathizers. Now, this ties back to my previous rabbit hole all about McCarthyism, so this is going to really work. Post 9/11 era. After the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks, the Alien Enemies Act was re-examined as part of the broader national security framework. War on Terror. The act was cited as a part of the legal justification for detaining individuals from countries linked to terrorism, such as Afghanistan, Iraq, and others. However, its use in this context has been debated. Suspension of civil liberties. The United States government, under the Patriot Act and other post-9/11 laws, expanded its surveillance and detention powers, but the Alien Enemies Act itself was not directly invoked for mass detention like in previous wars. However, the law remained on the books as a tool for potential use during times of national emergency. Legal challenges and modern relevance. Let me zoom in a bit. The use of the Alien Enemies Act has occasionally faced legal scrutiny, particularly around issues of civil liberties and discrimination. It has been criticized as outdated and incompatible with modern ideas of due process and rights for non-citizens. Supreme Court cases. While the law has not been directly challenged in major Supreme Court cases, its use during past wars has been a point of contention, especially in the context of mass internment and surveillance during wartime. This is probably talking about the Fred Korematsu case, where the Supreme Court said that the internment of Japanese people was inherently unconstitutional. Current legal framework. In the 21st century, though the Alien Enemies Act remains a part of U.S. law, it has not been used to the same extent as it was during the 20th century wars. However, the Act's provisions are still part of the United States' legal landscape during times of national emergency or conflict. Conclusion. The Alien Enemies Act has historically been used by the U.S. government to address national security concerns during times of war. It has been the most prominent during conflicts like the Civil War, World War I, and World War II, and the post-9/11 period. Though, it has also raised significant concerns about civil liberties and the treatment of foreigners during wartime. While rarely invoked in modern times, it remains part of the U.S. legal framework as a means of addressing security threats from foreign nationals in times of war. So, essentially, everything that you're seeing here, even ChatGPT didn't include Trump's recent deployment of it, and I'll ask it to cover that. And the reason being is that this act is only supposed to be used during times of war. It's only ever been used during times of war, and even then it's sometimes questioned, you know? Does Chris do live debates? I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I'm frankly certain you need to have another program where it's almost like a Zoom meeting, versus on TikTok, there's literally a guest function. Yeah, more debates would be nice. I mean, listen, I'm down with debates. I don't think debates are a good thing inherently. I think that it's really just a way to bolster your own side. It's not really about who has the superior argument. It's more about who prepared better, who studied the other side's arguments and has retorts memorized. So I don't think it, let's just, for example, the example I would use is that, say you did a debate on whether Hitler was a good guy, right? And you took a fucking college, master's, somebody with a master's in history, and then a fucking ninth grader, right? And you made the ninth grader say Hitler's bad, and you made the college professor say that Hitler is good. The college professor is going to make a better argument than the ninth grader. Not because he's right, but because he's better prepared for the debate. And I do think that that is a dangerous concept, you know? ChatGPT is GOP run. AI keeps saying things that were invented in Canada, some are invented in America. No Yanks invented insulin. You charge more than $80 for it. Yeah, whatever. Explain Trump's current deployment of the act. Wait, is this thing like unaware? That's so strange. That's so strange. Huh. Huh. There's a southern border invasion. You don't care about that 15,000 a year. Yeah, no, that's the point. That's why they labeled it an invasion, so that people like you would consider it an invasion and they can invoke the Alien Enemies Act. You quite literally fell for it. That's the whole point, dude. Can I get this shit off my fucking screen? Or no? I don't think you can. That's so fucking annoying. Ugh. Bastards. I want this shit off my fucking screen. It's not gonna let me. I'll tell you that much. What if I refreshed it? Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. Fantastic. I figured. All right. So let's start gathering links to make this video. Let's see. Let's go. First things first, we pull up the Wikipedia of the Alien Enemies Act. So we got to think about how we're going to... The whole point of Rabbit Hole is to start in the past and make your way to today, right? And that people don't even see it coming until you get to the end. What video are we making? We're doing a deep dive into the rabbit hole of the Alien and Sedition Acts, with the main focus on Japanese internment. You say that Trump's a Nazi but loves Jews. Makes sense. Oh my God, is that as far as your brain fucking functions? Dude, when I say Trump's a Nazi, it has nothing to do with Jewish people. It has everything to do with fascist policies. And also, do you think that Hitler only killed the Jews? Is that what you think? Do you not know about the Romani people, the black people, the gay people, the disabled people, the fucking, like, literally anybody who was a dissident? Like, do you unironically think Hitler only killed Jewish people? Is that what you think? Schools only taught the Jews? No, they did not. Incorrect. I went to school. Yeah, the first people targeted by the Nazis were trans people, but it wasn't actually trans people. It was a clinic that was teaching gender studies, right? Just so that people understood what gender truly was, because gender and sex are two different things. The first book burnings in Nazi Germany were books about gender equality. My school, the Great Red State, talked 6 billion Jews. They didn't say anything about other people. That's fucked. Hitler started out killing disabled Germans using trucks with carbon dioxide poisoning. When some survived, that's when he switched to Zyklon B. It was a lethal pair with a gas chamber. Incorrect. The Nazis actually legally had a euthanasia program. It was voted upon. This is before the Holocaust started. I could pull this up for you. So this was so literally it was called the euthanasia program, and it's just a misnomer for murder. But they had a legal operation. The euthanasia program was a systemic murder of institutionalized patients with disabilities in Germany. It started in 1939, about 2 years before the Nazis began systemically murdering Europe's Jews. The program was one of many radical eugenic measures which aimed to restore the racial integrity. They slaughtered 15,000 children and 50,000 disabled people. They euthanized them legally. The German people voted on this. It's fucking insane. Beginning in October of 1939, public health authorities began to encourage parents of children with disabilities to admit their young children to one of a number of specifically designated pediatric clinics throughout Germany and Austria. In reality, the clinics were children's killing wards. There, specifically recruited medical staff murdered their young, charges by lethal overdose of medication or by starvation. This was not even like the war. It's absolutely the most abhorrent shit you could imagine. Okay. Now we're going to need the quasi-war. Let me just respond to this text. Bro just said he's not a Nazi, but he calls him a Nazi. Diamond, I don't know what the fuck is going on, man. Like you almost came to the table. I think you just have like a hate boner for me, dude. I really do. It's fucking, at this point, it's parasocial. You've showed up to like the past 3 live streams. You've been here the whole time hate watching. It's very concerning. You may need like mental health professionals to tune in. Something is the fuck wrong. You can close the YouTube video. You do not need to watch me. It's very concerning. Call me insane because I proved you wrong. Got it. No, I'm not calling you insane because you proved me wrong. I'm calling you insane because you've been here every single one of my lives lately, the entire time, hate watching. And it's genuinely concerning. It's wildly parasocial. It's fucking crazy. That's stalker-like? Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. It's fucking weird. It's really fucking weird. I want to learn about politics. I agreed on things. I don't think you are here to learn, dude. I really don't. You have not. There are plenty of people here who are actually here to learn, and they're learning a lot. You're genuinely, I think you're here to just argue. I think that's all you want, is to argue. Jack's getting fucking fades. Jack's getting like random fades on the side for his grammar. You want to learn about the party swap? I already have a comprehensive YouTube video on it. Just look up Valenti videos, the party switch. Yeah, why don't we start from scratch? That's a good idea, Ove. Diamond, could you please tell me one of my policies or beliefs that you disagree with? If a teacher says Hitler was right, you're supposed to butt in and say, no, he's not. But in your world, you just shut up and listen. No. In your world, yeah. In the world, yes. If Hitler said Hitler was right, yeah, you should come up and butt heads with them. I've never said that. Good day to you, sir. Hello, Mario G. David. Couldn't find it, Valenti. Is it paywalled? It is not paywalled. It is one of the episodes of Valentiverse, I believe. No, it isn't. No. No, it should be up. Try TikTok. Try TikTok. So, again, Diamond, could you please tell me one of my policies or beliefs that you fundamentally disagree with? Do you still have the clip of older millennials saying we should force women to give birth? Yeah, it's on my TikTok. Somewhere. It's also on YouTube and Instagram. I'm a member of the DSA. The DSA is great, man. It's probably the most successful democratic socialist organization in the country. Democratic socialist is not good. It causes people to be lazy. Diamond, tell me what democratic socialism is. Tell me what democratic socialism is. People get stuff provided by the government. Okay, so you don't want Social Security or Medicaid or food stamps? Also, that's not what democratic socialism is at all. No, but should I just sit on my ass all day and get stuff people work for? Yeah, that's not what democratic socialism is at all. This is my point. You don't know what democratic socialism is and you hate it. Allow me to teach you what democratic socialism is. I'll give you the definition of it, and I'm sure you're not going to accept the definition because it is directly antithetical to what you think it is. Democratic socialism is a left-wing economic and political philosophy that supports political democracy and some form of a socially owned economy, with a particular emphasis on economic democracy, workplace democracy, and workers' self-management within a socialist, decentralized planned, or democratic, centrally planned socialist economy. Democratic socialists argue that capitalism is inherently incompatible with the values of freedom, equality, and solidarity, and that these ideals can only be achieved through the realization of a socialist society. Although most democratic socialists seek the gradual transition to socialism, democratic socialism can support revolutionary or reformist politics to establish socialism. So there's the definition. You're wrong. Incorrect! Incorrect! That means higher taxes causing people to be less innovative. No, it doesn't mean higher taxes. It means higher taxes for the rich. That's what it means. And what do you mean by less innovative? How would people be less innovative if they were receiving some sort of social safety net? How? How does that happen? Pick the highest paying job and you're good, not very innovative. Oh my God, you're an idiot. Just pick the highest paying job and you're good, not very innovate. I don't know why. Diamond, no offense, I think I'm done arguing with you. I unironically think you are either too young or too stupid for me to argue with. There's no point. There's no point. I'm not going to ban you, but I am just going to stop fucking entertaining you. Let's get back to work. Come on, motherfucker. Yeah, I know all this. I know all this. I just want to see the end. I know all this. There it is. Yes, he did. Oh my God. Fucking Christ. Goddamn thing needs me to fucking teach it. Alright, so we got the quasi-war. Use DeepSeek? Avi, what up, upstairs? Avi. Yeah, we got these ones. If you own homes or anything, you're not a socialist. We got the dumbest comment of the day award. It goes to JT Baying, who says, socialism is when you own nothing. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Working out and listening to the live, I really appreciate that of it. You better be working. You better be working. All right, so we start off with the Alien Sedition Act. We move into the Quasi-War. From there, we move into the Civil War and spies during the Civil War. No one should be too poor to live. That's all democratic socialism is. I know, but seemingly, if you think that nobody should be too poor to live, you're a dirty fucking commie and a libtard. Doesn't socialism exclude personal property? No, that is communism. Alien Sedition Act, Quasi-War. That will bring us into Lincoln's use of spies, the Confederate use of spies, spying during the Civil War, Lincoln didn't even use it, but then in World War I, yeah, we have a big use of it during World War I. Are you at all worried about the lack of market incentive? No. Dude, we have a monopolization of the market right now. There's a reason why Apple was sued for monopolizing the cell phone industry. It's because when you have a monopoly in a hyper-capitalist nation like the United States over something like the cell phone industry, your iPhone sucks. This is a terrible fucking phone. But because capitalism has created a monopoly around it because of the use of iMessages, nobody in this fucking nation is capable of jumping to a better phone like those like Google flip phones, because then you don't have access to iMessage, which gives you, like group chats and communication with your fucking family and tracking locations and all of these things that the American family has kind of adopted. You can only get those despite the fact that all it would take to let other phones use iMessage is swapping a 0 to a 1 in a fucking computer. That's all it would take, is a 0 to a 1, bang, now you can use iMessages between different types of phones. This is just one minor example of them cutting corners to make dog shit phones, right? And have a complete vice grip over the economy and monopolizing it. So no, I think that right now we already have a stifling of innovation in this nation because of hyper-capitalism. So the iPhone is better? No. Across the board, things like the Google flip phones are better phones, but they don't have access to iMessage. And because of that, people buy iPhones more. Okay. We're going to pull up some World War I propaganda. World War I anti-German propaganda. Yep. This is some good shit. We're going to talk about the World War I German spies. World War I German spies blow up U.S. railway. Yeah, the Black Tom bombings. We're making a video? Yeah, we're doing the research to make a video right now. How you doing, William Wilson? I need a Chris and Hassan Piker stream right now. Dude, one day, that's the goal. Hassan has reacted to my videos before. Uvi's worked with Hassan before. Excuse me. If America hadn't locked down American Japanese, the war would have been brought. You unironically support Japanese internment? Even the fucking Supreme Court has apologized for that, said it was inherently unconstitutional. That is fucking crazy. That is fucking dude, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Holy shit. All right, so this will take us into Espionage Act of 1917. What do we got here? Sedition Act of 1918. Hi, Luigi. Prove me wrong? No, bro, I'm not gonna fucking argue with a racist. There's no point in arguing with you, dude. You can't fix the mind of a fucking racist. Luigi. Hi, little mama. Hi, little mama. Hi. You a happy girl right now? Hi. Happy, happy, happy girl. Yeah. Come here. Come here, Weege. Come here, mama. Come here. Okay, so we get the Black Tom explosion. Jack, put I don't know a good name in the corner for 60 seconds to think about that. All right? I want him to sit there and think about that, what he just fucking said. 60 seconds, corner time. It was funny? It was funny, but I want him to think about it. Okay. Luigi's digging. She's digging in her little grass. I have a grass corner for her. Don't eat the grass. You didn't get kicked, Alex. Or Alan. Don't worry about it. The Weebs. Come here. Hi. Hi. Hi, girl. Hi, girl. Hi, girl. You're okay. Yeah, you're okay. You all right? I'll hold you for a little bit. I'll hold you for a little bit. I know. How old is Luigi? She's 2.5, I think. Right? Right, girly? Right, girly pop? What? What'd you say? What'd you say? What? What? Huh? Hmm? You got something to say? Say it with your chest. You say it with your chest. Okay, Mama. Okay. There you go. Don't run to the front door and bark. Do not run to the front door and bark. Oh, there's that fucking fruit fly. Come here, bitch. Got it. All right, let's organize this. I think we've got everything. Is that a psychic vape beam? Okay. So we start off with the inception of the Aliens and Sedition Acts. That will lead us into the Quasi-War. That will lead us into some use of Lincoln during the Civil War, Lincoln's deployment of spies, the Confederacy's deployment of spies, spying in the Civil War, World War I's deployment of the Alien and Sedition Acts, although it was barely used, anti-German propaganda, the Black Tom explosion, which is German spies blew up a railway in New Jersey, right? Which led to the Espionage Act of 1917 and the Sedition Act of 1918, which will then bring us into World War II, okay? The detention of Germans, Italians, and Japanese in retaliation of the Pearl Harbor bombings. Some quick research of the 11,000 Germans who were detained. Quick research of the... how many Italians were detained? Okay, 600,000 Italian immigrants were designated enemy aliens subject to restriction. There we go. So, from Germans to Italians. And then we dive into Japanese internment. We need the Korematsu case. Japanese, Korematsu. And then from there, we're going to cover the Patriot Act. Which will then take us to Trump's Alien and Sedition Act. And then we end up, that's it. That's what we got. All right, that's a good rabbit hole. That is a good rabbit hole. Ugh. Shit. All right. I gotta make this rabbit hole. I'm not gonna be making the video live because I get high CPU usage, and I want this to be a high quality video. So, I'm gonna end the live now. However, this video will probably be finished at 4 o'clock. If you want to see the video as soon as it goes up, all you got to do is become a member. For $5, you'll get early access to these videos immediately upon editing. And if not, the public will get access to the video at 7 o'clock. All right? All right? 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. It'll be done within the hour. This video will be done in about an hour. All right. Thank you for tuning in, folks. I will catch you in the comment section of the next video. Before I go, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing. It helps me immensely. And if you want to help the channel financially, you can buy some merch down below. You can use the 40% off discount for the Vantage subscription on Ground News. And you can become a member for $5, which will give you early access to the videos. And you'll get preferential treatment by me, your perfect and humble leader. Without further ado, have a good day. I'll catch you in the comment section of the next video.
Bye, everybody.